Tim, have you finalised the team?
No, haven't yet. Sorry, mate. We'll have a quick look at the wicket again today and probably decide later on this afternoon.
Are there any aspects that have been decided? Like, is it, is there anything more about the thought process, I suppose, that you've got to?
Yeah, there's just team balance really. There's ongoing discussion the last day or two, but as I said, we'll have a final look at the wicket once I'm done here actually, and we'll have our last chat then. But yeah, we're not too far away. But as I said all along, we'll be looking to pick the best 11 that we think is the best combination to win this test, and obviously the wicket will play a part in that.
Can I just
take over?
Tim, I know you've been asked this a few times this summer and since you came back, but what's the biggest thing, I suppose, that you've learnt, through this last 12 months where you've sort of unexpectedly come back into the team and now be captaining the team? Yeah,
and I've said the same thing a few times. I think the most important thing that I've learnt is to be myself, number one. And then secondly, I think particularly in the last month or so, is just to try and stay really present and stay in the moment of where we are right now. So trying not to be too distracted by what's ahead of us or who's coming back or who's not. And it's just trying to keep, I suppose, a little bit of reality around our group, keep our feet where they are and keep trying to improve. So that's been my focus and what I've spoken to the group a lot about.
Tim, so it looks like you and Bonnie have found a babysitter for
you.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that was interesting. Look, we were obviously at the PM's house yesterday and, just had a quick chat to Rishab and my wife actually happened to be there. So we just grabbed a quick photo, which he was a good sport. So and he is on the field too, to be honest. So, a fair bit's been made of a little bit of banter between two wicket keepers, which has been pretty light-hearted and pretty friendly. So, I enjoy the way he goes about it. I wish I played that way when I was his age. He looks like he has a hell of a lot of fun. So, it was good to be missed today.
Tim, how do you balance, you talked about picking a team for this one, but the fact that this is the last test of this series, another one against Sri Lanka, and then obviously there's, I suppose the elephant in the room in Test cricket is the Ashes later this year and thought process there. So, how do you kind of, I guess, meet all those needs at the same time?
It's a good question. And it's just through a bit of discussion and being really open and honest as a group of selectors and me as the captain. So, obviously, as I said, we want to pick the best 11 that we think can win this test. At the same time, you're trying to, I suppose, look forward a little bit and make sure you got the right guys around the squad and in our group that we think can be successful across different conditions in Test cricket. So there's always going to be a little bit of a balancing act. I know I've probably answered it in two different ways, and a lot of people who are critical of selection processes won't like that, but that's just the plain facts. That's what it is. We want to pick the best team. You've always got to try and have a little bit of an eye to the future and what's coming up at the same time.
And just one on, I think Pat was talking yesterday about how you'd spoken pre-series about preserving the record against India, never having lost a series at home against them. How much does that weigh on minds or motivate minds at the back end of the series when you're tired, I suppose?
Yeah, none for me personally. I think other guys may use it, but my focus has been on us improving and us playing the best possible cricket we can, and when we haven't, making sure we've learnt from it. So, again, we want to win every test match we play in. At times it's not always possible. We're playing against the best test team in the world at the moment who are playing really well. So, look, I haven't thought too much about losing this series, that's for sure. We want to win. We want to win this series. But some guys will use different things to motivate them. But as I said, my motivation is making sure we're improving, making sure we're really competitive at all times, and making sure we put up a really good fight against India. And we know if we do it for long enough, we showed in Perth that we can win. So that's our focus.
I guess the level of change that happened to the team meant that this was always going to be a fairly long process, and there was going to be ups and downs in between. But from where you sit, where do you see how the trend line is going, and how far along the continuum do you think you are?
We're constantly a work in progress. I think the difficult thing after Perth was more the external stuff. I think for a younger group, we'd gone from a team that was no good to all of a sudden really good, and then in a matter of a test match, we're back down here. So again, as I said before, it's about trying to keep a bit of perspective and a bit of reality of where we're at. Again, I'm repeating myself a little bit, but the main thing for us is that we're improving. I think we're showing signs of getting better. I think in the last test, whilst our batters didn't set the world on fire, most guys got a start and showed that they can succeed at this level. So this test is going to be a real focus from our batting group. We know we're not going to win too many test matches without scoring hundreds, so that's something we've spoken about, something we're really keen to improve and address. And again, as I said in the last few tests, the silver lining is that in a few months' time we can have some world-class players available, and we're going to have some younger guys that have had 8 to 10 tests under their belt. So it's going to be a great thing for Australian cricket.
Just an extension on the hundreds point you made. It was 4 made last year, 3 of them in this test a year ago. Are you leaving it up to the individual players to find answers to converting those starts, or is it a collective thing that the batting unit are speaking about, sharing ideas, things they learn?
A bit of both. I think obviously guys who are playing test cricket want to be scoring hundreds, so it's something that batters are constantly talking about. But it's up to the individual as well. Some guys want to be reminded of certain things when they're in the middle. Someone like Usman just wants to go out and bat. So it's about knowing your players, knowing who you're batting with at the other end, and doing whatever I suppose suits them and keeps them in the zone, I guess, a little bit. And as I've said before as well, the Indian attack has been really disciplined and forced mistakes out of us. So it's just being aware of each other's strengths and weaknesses, and while you're out there batting with guys, trying to remind them of them and trying to keep them on track.
Tim, you saw close hand last year, Mitch Marsh, and how well he batted. What was he doing last year apart from scoring runs that he's not doing this year? Is there anything technique-wise, patience, anything in his attitude?
No, I don't think so. I think last year, I think I touched on it a bit yesterday, last year he was batting at times when Steve Smith or David Warner or Usman Khawaja had scored runs and was facing tired bowlers. And whilst there's going to be times that Mitch is going to have to go out and score runs at number 6 from 4 for 60, you'd hope that he's not going in as much as he is at the moment under that sort of scrutiny. And so there's a bit of 2 things to it. One, we're not getting enough runs in our top order, and if we do that, we know how dangerous Mitch can be. And 2, Mitch knows he needs to improve when he does have to go in when we're 4 for 50 and find ways to succeed in that situation as well. So, but he's not doing anything different training-wise. I think, like anyone else at the moment, he's probably a little bit lower on confidence than he was at this time last year. But he's one good session of batting or an hour of batting away from finding that again. And we know when he does, he can be very dangerous at test level.
And your thought process with Aaron Finch at the top of the order, I mean, are you prepared if you do leave him out for the batting order to be reshuffled quite a bit with blokes moving up? Is that something that you, as a selection panel, would be happy to take into this test?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're happy to change it a little bit. I think you don't want to be changing too much. We want to try and settle guys that we think are going to play a bit more long-term in positions. Looking forward into the next series and then into the Ashes, we want to settle guys in their positions. So as little a disruption as we can have to that order, the better in that sense. But as I said before, at the same time, we've got to find the best 11, the best combination of that 11 to win this test as well. So it's a bit of a balancing act.
And Tim, considering the way you've been batting and the number of balls you've faced in this series, has there at any point been any consideration where you thought about like promoting yourself, maybe break up the whole left-hander nexus that exists in that middle order? Just as captain, have you felt like it should just go up?
Yeah, it's. I've had some discussions around that. May happen, may not. But yeah, I'm certainly haven't been setting the world on fire. I need to sort of cash in on my starts as well, so I'm no different to the other guys in our top 6, and I've just got to play my role, whether that's at 7, whether it's at 6, whether it's at 5. It won't change the way we go about it.
Marnus coming back into the squad since Melbourne, can you tell us what your messaging has been to him and what has he brought to the team over the past couple of days leading into tomorrow?
Lots of chat. lots of energy. He doesn't shut up, Marnus, but I think at the end of a long series, his energy has been great to have him around the group the last few days. We know how good a cricketer he is. He's really skilled in all facets of the game. So if he plays tomorrow, we know he brings, if the conditions suit, he showed in the UAE, his leg spin's improved out of sight. And I suppose you're almost leaning towards him now at test level as a bit of an all-round option, which is a really good package for us.
Ashwin's been ruled out of this test match. How much of a blow do you think it'll be to India, given the conditions here?
It's good news. I saw him bowl yesterday and he was batting in Melbourne, so I'm surprised he's not playing. But I think conditions here would have suited him really nicely. Normally spins quite a bit, and obviously with his height as well, he would have been a handful. So I think some of our batters will be pretty happy to hear that news when they come to training today. But we know they've got some other spinners in their squad. Kuldeep, who's a bit younger, but he's got some serious talent as well. And obviously Jadeja did the job for him in Melbourne, so they've got no shortage of options to replace him.
Tim, you mentioned yesterday you thanked the Indian team for their contribution to rebuilding the Australian public faith in the game. How do you think the Australian public will welcome back the three bat players, obviously David and Steve in particular, and would you encourage them to welcome them with open arms?
Yeah, I think so. I hope they're welcome back. I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion and will have a different view on it, but I think once they've done their time, that I'm certainly very hopeful that the Australian public and the cricketing public in general will welcome those three guys back and give them a fair chance at coming back into the scene. I suppose, just to be treated like no other cricketer is, to be fair. Like all other cricketers are, sorry.
Tim, just on Peter Hanscom, if he's to come back into the team, just here, what's changed from him being left out of the last test to potentially come back in here?
Probably conditions. As we've heard, we think it will spin here, so if India were to play two spinners, or we think India were to play two spinners, I think Pete can be a really important player for us. We know how good a player a spinner is. So I think that's, again, one of the discussions we'll be having today is whether we think India will go that way, and if they are we prepared to bring him back in. I'm sure if he does, he's, as I said, he's an excellent player of spin and contributes a lot to the group in the field and around the team as well. So again, a bit like Marnus, he's a very good package. He's a good person to have around our team, and we hope that when he does play again, he scores a lot of runs.
Last question. Tim, I just wanted to check in terms of if Aaron is demoted down the order or dropped, will it be Usman opening? And I suppose, can you just talk a bit about his sort of resilience in this series, given what happened at the start and even a couple of days ago with his brother getting arrested again?
Yeah, I think Uzi's opening record in Test cricket is very good. So and he's been on record, I think, a few times saying he's not too fussed where he bats it, whether it's one or three. So his record's great. If that's the way we go, Usman will, as he always does, he'll go out and give his all. And I think the way he's handled the last month or so has been exemplary. So it's a real credit to him.